Well, it's almost impossible to talk about the Tononoka rally without mentioning the Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto merger that happened this afternoon at Nakuru's Afraha Stadium. Now, the two will run on a joint ticket in next year's general election as president and vice president, respectively. That official announcement was made today, and the two say that the ICC cases facing them will not interfere with their ambition to govern the country. Well, Sophia Wanuna and Aaron Ocheng are currently in Nakuru and will be joining them in just a short while. But right now, we have a guest in studio, Mr. Adam Zolo, who is a political analyst, to help us interrogate these issues of the alliances. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's just begin with that issue of ODM and trying to woo Kalonzo. Why is he so appealing at the moment, Kalonzo Musyoka?
Well, I think that initially the conventional wisdom was that ODM was on one side and G7 alliance was on one side. But it happens that the Uhuru-Ruto pact kind of led to acrimony, whereby Kalonzo felt that he was being left out. So ODM decided that we can price him away from the G7 side and maybe walk away with this game in the first round easily. And therefore, they went out for him. But it looks like they're saying, if we don't get him, the status quo remains.
All right, and what would be the implication of that if Kalonzo indeed does not get into a merger with ODM?
The implication is that it becomes more likely that we might have 4 serious presidential candidates, and that would be in terms of hierarchy. You have the ODM, then you have the URP, TNA pact, then you have UDF and Wiper coming a little bit on the lower scale. Yeah.
But we've just had the Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka saying that he is better than being a running mate. He's actually mentioned the fact that he's a vice president having the top seat in government, one of the top seats in government, and saying that he's not going to settle for less. In fact, let me just find a quote here that he mentioned. It was quoted in the Standard this morning. I hear some people are working on an arrangement that will make me a running mate to someone. That is not so. I will be naming my running mate soon.
He might be the vice president, but he's also a vice president who has not been endorsed by the sitting president. So it's time that he came to political reality. As it stands now, and with the new constitutional rules, which requires 50% plus 1, it would mean that if ever there was a runoff, certainly it would not be Kalonzo Musyoka, one of the two. It would be Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. And the moment that reality hits him, I'm not still counting out that you might have a last-minute deal between either Raila and Kalonzo or Mudavadi and Kalonzo. But Mudavadi and Kalonzo is very unlikely.
Okay, let me just put you on the spot here. If you were to say realistically, what are the chances of Kalonzo becoming president if he goes at it by himself?
None. 0.
All right. Let's now look at the other alliance that everyone seems to be talking about. It's being called the winning team. Uhuru-Ruto is what they're calling themselves. Do you believe that they are the winning team?
I don't believe. I think that if you look at the way the race has been tailored so far, then you'll say that even a William Ruto and Uhuru ticket still will have a hard time hitting the 50% plus 1 mark. Remember, that's the whole reason why they had the G7 alliance. But when they cut the deal between URP and TNA, you have seen a kind of dismembering starting to occur. New Fort Kenya is now out, Wiper is out, and UDF, which was warming up, is also by itself. What that means, and if you go by the opinion polls, then it means that they still fall short of the 50%. So what I would say is that at the moment, maybe things might change. We still have nearly 3 months to go.
Yeah.
Things might change, but as it stands now, I think none of the coalitions or even one single party can claim that they can get the 50% plus 1.
All right, but as it stands, it seems to be an open secret that Uhuru and Ruto are coming together so that they can get the numbers in terms of votes. But what is happening to the issues? Who is talking about what is really affecting Kenyans? And how does that affect the people who are going to vote for them?
Look, true, issues have to be talked about. But Kenya also is a very ethnicized society. If you look at the URP TNA ticket, they can say that we are coming together to unite the country. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at the build-up to today's rally, William Ruto was basically in the Kalenjin heartland, basically telling them that this deal is good for the Kalenjin. So we can't run away from that. That issues will be talked about, but also ethnic calculations will also be there. And I think it's upon Kenyans to decide, do they want to vote for ethnic coalition? Do they want to vote for issues? It's for Kenyans to decide, because it's them that finally will determine who enters the house on the hill.
All right, and Mr. Olo, before I let you go, a final question here. A lot of people are saying that William Ruto is finding it extremely difficult to sell this merger to the people in the Rift Valley. And in the rally today, which Sophia Wanuno is about to bring us all the details to, he did say that the journey to unite the nation has started. That's William Ruto. And Uhuru Kenyatta says, our work is to preach peace and make sure no blood is spilled. And it's also interesting that their slogan is Umoja Kenya. They seem to really be talking about peace and bringing people together. Are they playing on people's fears here?
Well, I think what they are taking into account is this, that since we got back to multipartism, it's only the 2002 elections where we did not have any ethnic clashes. In 1992, we had ethnic clashes. The heartland was Rift Valley. In 1997, we had ethnic clashes. The heartland was Rift Valley. In 2007, we had ethnic clashes. The heartland again was Rift Valley. And you look at it this way, that every time the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu vote differently, there's always ethnic clashes. When they voted together, for example, in 2002, whereby under the guidance of Moi, they voted for Uhuru Kenyatta, then there were no ethnic clashes. I think that's what they are implying. Whether the people will buy in that they need to be together for the sake of that is another thing altogether.
Let's wind up the interview there. Thank you so much for coming into the studio this evening. Adam Zolo, he's a political analyst, joining us to just dissect and interrogate the issues that are coming up after that Ruto-Uhuru merger.